Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the CMSnetwork.com. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and smash the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. If you are looking for video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel or go to the YouTube channel of the CMS Network. And if you would like to download audio versions of the podcast, just Google Talking into Infinity Podcast. And we are on any number of platforms, pretty much anywhere you can think. So without further ado, let me bring on my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Brian Hendrickson. How's it going, man? How are you?
Hi, John.
Hi, Brian.
I'm not too bad, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to this. It's always good talking about our favorite parts of Dream Theater songs. This is where we get to dig in and be kind of music nerds a little bit, which is fun. So I always look forward to these.
But you actually play drums, though. See, I have no, other than maybe a little bit of, snare kick and throwing some hi-hat, I have zero ability to play the drums. So I think I'm going to come across sounding even dumber than I normally do. I know. Hold off on the comments. It's probably not possible.
Right.
But, yeah, I tried to pick, stuff that maybe was a little bit different and stuff that just kind of moved me, you know?
Sure.
So it will be interesting to see. I tried not to pick, all of my same normal songs I like either. So hopefully.
Yeah.
Because that's always, kind of hard, too, you know? I love everything in this song, and it's not like you're going to find, well, that drum part sucks on a Dream Theater song. You know?
Yeah.
That's going to be kind of hard to do, you know?
What a terrible performance. It sounds like Lars. Yeah, I have a couple of my favorites on here, but the drums are a big reason why those songs are favorite songs of mine. But I have a couple I think that are going to surprise you. So one in particular, really? You picked that one? So yeah, I kind of did the same thing you did. If there's an emotional aspect to it that hits me or just kind of gets some feel across, which drums aren't normally known to do.
Yeah.
I kind of chose that. So, but before we get going though,
okay.
you and I each have something that we want to get to real quick. So,
okay.
For everybody watching and listening out there, we have a new feature on the show that we are debuting tonight. And basically, we are able to take live callers or viewers. You guys can jump on the show live as we are talking. So if you go to www.call.cmspn.com, it'll basically put you in our green room. And if you want to be on video talking, that's fine. If you just want to have your audio on, you can turn your camera off, and it'll just bring you up. Just bring up your audio so no one has to see you. But yeah, you can actually join the show live on screen and jump into the discussion. If I don't know, one of us says something really stupid, which is pretty good odds that that'll happen. But yeah, it's www.call.cmspn.com to take part in the show live as we're going. So. That's going to be cool, man. I was as you do as well. Yeah, only I like it. You hate it. Yeah, we always have a blast when, people watching and listening to the show chime in and kind of throw in their 2 cents. So this is just another way to do that. So I'm excited to see how that works.
There's so many avenues now. We talked about, I think, last week, all the new stuff. So we have the CMS TV. We also have the CMS Network app. And there's so many killer shows on there, and you can basically, the entire library of everything on the CMS network is on there, including, I think, pretty much all of our shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many cool ways now. So we're looking forward to interacting with everybody.
Yep. And speaking of new things, you have something very new that you just did that's Dream Theater related.
Yeah, I do. So a buddy of mine, Brian Loxo, he's a guy I play dueling pianos partner with sometimes once in a while. He's a music teacher actually down in Akron, and he teaches basically like electronic music production recording. Like he does like BandLab, Garage Band, and I think a couple other programs, to high school kids. And some of the stuff he's played me, or some of the stuff they do, is absolutely amazing. But anyway, he's always into the newest technology, and he told me about this new thing, and most people have probably heard of it. You said you hadn't, but it's called Chat GPT, and it's an artificial it's like an AI engine basically, and it's all over the internet, and people are freaking out. Teachers are, I guess it came on his radar because he's a teacher. Yeah. Teachers are freaking out. You can basically say anything, ask it to do anything in terms of like writing like a poem, a haiku, a song, an essay. So a lot of English teachers are really not too thrilled with this because a kid who's going to have to go write a paper, or, if you have to write a paper in political science or anything, and it's just kids are just going to, spit out a few words and it's going to give it to you. So he knows I'm big into Dream Theater. So he said, he's like, I'm going to have this thing make a Dream Theater poem for you. And let's see how accurate it is. I'm not going to read the whole thing because this is too long. But it starts out, Dream Theater, masters of sound. Their music echoes all around. Their melodies reach up so high, their rhythms make us feel alive. A journey through each song they weave, a sonic tapestry they achieve. With intricate riffs and pounding beats, their virtuosity is hard to beat. From Metropolis to Pull Me Under, each track a masterpiece in wonder. Their music takes us on a ride to places we cannot hide. The guitar solos cut through the air, their complexity beyond compare. So it picks up on how, progressive the band is and stuff in the way that it writes that, which I thought was interesting.
That is crazy. Hard to beat. Nice. Memphis Bullard, good to see you, man. He says the poem doesn't lie.
Yeah, and I also had to do a thing I think I told you before. I had it. He said take two songs and compare them. So I compared Count of Tuscany to what did I say? Great Debate. Okay. And it basically said, well, in terms of music wise, they're progressive and this, that, and the other. But it broke down all of the subject elements. They differ in tone and what they talk about lyrically, and broke down the lyrics. And it's kind of frightening, man. I mean, we talked before, like you said, you're a firm believer, like the Matrix, man. It's either already here or it's coming very quick.
Yeah, I've always said it's like if you kind of look at the way technology is going, like thinking that the stuff that happens in the Terminator and the Matrix movies it could be a reality. I mean, eventually stuff's going to get so smart. What do we need these dummy humans for? Yeah. And we're well on our way. They can make Dream Theater poems. Next thing, they're going to be eradicating all mankind. So
yeah, pretty much. So anybody can download this, I guess. It's just all you have to do is give them your email. It's open source, but I didn't do that yet because I think this is one of those things. Once you start on it, you're going to be on it for 12-hour binge, and you're not going to get anything else done. So well, I think I'm going to stay away from this rabbit hole for a while.
That poem's way better than anything I could write. I know I wouldn't come up with something that actually flowed that well. My stuff is like, oh God, All right, so before we get to our topic here, we do have a viewer chiming in. He says, "What's up, guys?" It's Sam Mathis. He says, "What's up, guys? I can't stay long, but I wanted to weigh in on my favorite drum moment, which is the entire intro outro of the Great Debate. Looking forward to catching the rest of this episode later." That is a great selection, man. Great Debate is one of my favorite songs. I think it's definitely my top 5 Dream Theater songs, maybe even top 3. And yeah, that's definitely all that shuffling and stuff like that. Very jam-oriented kind of feel. So good call, Sam. Good call. Real quick, Metalhead is chiming in. Good to see you, man. He says, "Have you guys ever checked out Opeth? I'm pretty sure Portnoy put them in his top 5 bands, and Petrucci loves them." Have you ever listened to Opeth, Brian? Because I have not.
Yes, that is Bob Hurd's probably new favorite band of all time now. So,
okay,
coworker of mine. Yeah, I mostly
like really. sorry to interrupt, but weren't they like really heavy and now they're like kind of different? Like they're actually singing and stuff. Is that? Am I thinking of the right band?
Yeah, the old vocal style was really growly,
Okay.
growly, screamy, and they've changed that, and it's much more melodic. But it's very trippy, heavy. Think of it kind of as a metal Floyd-ish type of a thing, I guess, for the most part. But just incredible musicians. I think the one guy isn't the one guy on Repentance. Or am I thinking of someone
Michael
else?
Akerfeld? I think so.
Yeah, he's on there. But yeah, great band. One of those bands I'd love to check out. If you ever get a chance, check out. They have a concert live at Red Rocks on YouTube. You can see,
Okay.
and man, just some great musicianship. Some really cool songs on there.
Awesome. Okay. Well, as we teased a little bit, tonight we are going to be talking about our favorite drumming moments in the Dream Theater catalog. So this is not specific to Portnoy or Mangini. It's just anything. So, hell, I mean, I brought out something from Nightmare Cinema, so there you go. So I have a James Labrie drum moment. So you did know he was the drummer for Nightmare Cinema, right? You know that?
I had no idea, but I do now.
Sean Faust, you're going to get banned from the chat if you start that crap. So yeah, guys, we're going to get going here. But remember, you can actually chime in live if you want to call in. It's call.cmspn.com. Thank you, Chris Aiken, for letting me know we don't need the www. So, okay. Okay, so
I can't wait to see this.
oh no, so Aiken says, here's what the AI says about talking into infinity in 200 characters or less.
It's not going to be a family show anymore, is it?
Okay, it says, Talking Into Infinity is a must-listen for Dream Theater fans. Hosts John Drake and Brian Hendrickson offer insightful interviews, engaging discussions, and deep knowledge of the band's career. All right, maybe it's not artificial intelligence, my ass. This thing doesn't know shit.
It's never listened to a show, obviously.
This thing is full of shit, man.
Oh, my God. That's awesome.
Oh, my God. All right, so I'm going to go first. I have a favorite that I'll save for last, but other than that, I don't have them ranked. The first one on my list, it kind of popped into my head right away. I have The Alien, because I think pretty much when that song dropped, all of us went, what the hell? And, all the comments online were, who the real alien is? It's Mike Mangini. And I think this is basically, without question, Mangini's signature tune with the band now. The song was based around that drum part that he came up with, and it's in that totally wild, weird time signature. How often do bands do that? Oh, play that drum part's cool. Now we're gonna work out. That's the basis of the song. So, but I mean, there's so many of those like the speed fills with the toms and the kick and stuff like that. He's just going. To me, it's a very Portnoy-esque song for him, for Mike Mangini, because it's like when he gets going, he just goes. But he does have the mellow moments and stuff, kind of breaks it down in the solo with kind of like the jungle drums almost. And, it's like I said, and one of my favorite parts, dude, is the drum part before and after the solo. It sounds simple at first, but when you listen to it, you kind of dig into it. There's a lot going on there that he's doing. So there's some subtle stuff in here that really kind of stands out when you pay attention to it. So I have The Alien first on my list. What is first on yours? Did you have The Alien?
Well, I have mine ranked. It doesn't, it's not like, okay, whatever. You can change the order. But yeah, number 10, I have Alien.
Oh my God.
I have a kind of a minor concern about this song because of the fact it's so damn good, and it's the opener, and it's been the opener on this tour forever, that I hope the guys don't get burned out on it and be like, well, we're not, the next tour comes around, we're not going to play Alien, or everyone's kind of sick of it. Like, no, I think this is going to be the new, we got to hear this every time they play now.
Right.
It starts out, man. It starts off with that roll, and then it never lets up. The opening 2 minutes before the vocals, it's almost like you said, this is probably the coolest stuff Mangini's done to date.
Yeah.
And this song just never lets up everything. I love the fills he does, man. I just think they're so. I don't know. They feel so good, and it's like he did say in this, like, if you remember the interviews, like, he purposely tried to make stuff hard to play for other drummers.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like when other drummers sit down and go like, oh man, that Mangini, he really did like, like things are just, backwards from what they normally are, I guess. And I mean, I could tell when stuff is syncopated and when stuff's on the offbeat and time signature changes, but when it's done that rapidly and stuff, I don't know how anybody possibly keeps up. It blows my mind.
Yep. So Memphis Bullard says that I absolutely love that groove that Portnoy does leading into full circle in Octavarium. Sean Faust about the alien says in 20 years it'll be a bathroom break like Pull Me Under has become. I don't think it could ever reach that level, and I'm not getting on board with the Pull Me Under hate on this damn show. People will keep hating on that song. It's like, man, that song's still great. Daniel Navarez Arojo says, my favorite is simple, Misunderstood. The play with the hi-hat, snare, and what sounds like a piccolo snare is so damn tasteful. I wish Portnoy and Dream Theater would do more creative, simple things like that. That is a really good one, man. And I do have some stuff from 6 Degrees on my list. And I think that's my favorite drum production the band has had is on 6 Degrees. So that's that's something that stands out for me drum wise, is at least the production on 6 Degrees. But
real quick, let's go back to and if Dream Theater's touring in 20 years, they can play Space Dive Vest for 2 hours. I don't care. Right? Because that to me will be a miracle that they're still touring in 20 years.
You're gonna have them in their early 70s, like mid 70s.
Yeah, they're gonna be pushing 80. I mean, it's like, come on.
It'd be fine with me.
Hell yeah.
I listened to some Lou Graham today from I think over the weekend. He still sounded reasonable enough. I would take it.
Nice.
So next on my list is one of the kind of epics. I don't think we considered it an epic, but it's close. I have A Nightmare to Remember, the opening track from Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Do you have that on your list?
No, I do not. I tried to purposely leave that off just because I totally love that song. So there's not much for me to say about it other than it's an amazing song and I love every single part that goes on in every part of it. So
yeah, I just think for me that it's it's just an absolute like Portnoy clinic. Like whatever side of Portnoy's playing you like, you're gonna get it in this song. I mean, it has something for everybody. His straight up metal, like thrash playing. He's got the rock playing in there. The mellow kind of really cool stuff. He's got those little cymbal things that he likes to do and some mellower stuff. This one, I mean, blast beats. I remember when this song hit, everyone's like, "What the hell? Blast beats in a Dream Theater song?" Like so.
Yep.
It was just so cool. And I mean, let's face it. It was an audition song in 2010 for a reason, right? I mean, like they tried new drummers out playing this song for a very good reason.
Yep.
And I love the off time thing when it breaks down into the hospital part, like with all the, the sound effects and stuff like that from the hospital. I love that. The double time hi hat thing is always awesome. That comes up a couple times in my list. He does that in the second half of the Beautiful Agony part. I love that, and the double bass on the song is awesome. There's so many really cool examples of that, especially the one after the end of the keyboard. So like it's just kind of a cool, like almost like it's like a train running down the tracks type of a rhythm to it. So yeah, I love this one. It's got everything for me. So Nightmare to Remember is the next one on my list. What do you have at number 9 for you? You ranked yours and I didn't rank mine. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to really argue too much on how these are ranked. I have Pale Blue Dot, which I've sort of been on record that I love this song, but it starts with those atmospheric keyboards, but then like the drums come in with that killer beat just by themselves, and everyone comes in. There's all those great accents and stuff, and I don't know, man. I guess it's a simple thing of accenting everything else the band is doing, but making it sound not simple, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sort of syncopating that up and making it sound full and, and maybe being just a little bit ahead or behind the beats, maybe the instruments are or the drums are actually playing that way too. There's just a real art to that.
Yep.
And I think you can tell people that know how to do it and people that don't. But yeah, man, I mean, it just so many sort of ups and downs in that song and just different styles and it's not unique in that there's some millions of Dream Theater songs that does it, but just something about the way it starts out, that he starts the song again after those keyboards and gets your adrenaline going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got that hyper fast right hand.
Yep.
I mean, how he does that stuff is just like, my God. The guy is just. It's unbelievable what that guy can do. Like doing something different with all four limbs at the same. Like, it's. I can't even think about it and make it work out. This guy's just doing it like, like.
Yep.
Like it's nothing. Like it's a Green Day beat or something. But yeah, that's a good choice, man. That's a good choice. I love Pale Blue Dot. It's got a lot of cool moments in it, and it's one of those songs that's, I think we talked about it a lot, that it feels shorter than it is, which is always a good thing. So, next on my list is actually a song that kind of surprised me. But I actually have The Enemy Inside. So I didn't expect. What, do you have that one?
It's literally the next one on my list. This is funny. We have to swear to the viewers, the three of you at home, we did not set this up ahead of time. This is hilarious, though.
Yeah, we never do. We always come in blind. That's why we're always like, shit, you stole mine.
I mean, how many total songs are there to choose from that have drums? 105 or something?
It's more than that.
I don't know.
I have a live song, for God's sake. So, but yeah, I guess that's good because then we can both talk about it. But yeah, I mean, the fills on the intro are crazy, especially like what is that? I mean, it's just superhuman. And I think, we just talked about that incredible right hand of his, and there's a lot of that in here. Although in my notes I said with him it could be his left, like because he does it with both, I think. But especially like that part going into the bridge, he's doing a bunch of cool stuff, and I think what gets me on this one is that this is like the first time I think I heard him just kind of lay back and just rock, and I think all the fills, the song just has a flow. The way he goes into the fills and they blend together with the music, like it just has a really rocking kind of flow. So this was the first time I really got behind him as a drummer. Like I liked all the stuff that he did on, Dramatic Turn, but I think this was the one where it's like, okay, you can kind of hear like this is what he would write, whereas we knew that the drum parts were kind of written for him for the first record he did. So, yeah. So all right, The Enemy Inside. So what do you got?
Well, it shocks me that you picked this because we all sort of hate the production on this in terms of the drum sound in general, and the album itself in general.
The snare's turned off, but we'll get to that another time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny Mangini. Like, I love the interplay between him and Jordan on almost every one of those little keyboard motif solos after the chorus, and there's all the cool syncopation. And then after, I think it's the guitar solo, there's that kind of that minstrelly, almost Warner Brothers cartoon, thing that they're doing, the two of them. Like, it just, I don't know, it fits so well towards the end of the song there. And I can't believe we both have this in both the third song on both of our lists.
I did not think you would have this one. I mean, there's a couple I thought we might have in common, but this was not one of them.
I wanted to pick something off of this album because I definitely like Mangini's playing on it, and I don't like the production, but I knew that there was at least one on here I kind of had to take, so I went with this one.
Okay. Cale McLeish is checking in. Good to see you, buddy. He says, "Hey, don't have time to stay and chat, but I'm just here to fly the flag for the intro of the Great Debate." There's a third one. Portnoy adds so much tension and helps define the sections of the intro when it sticks with the same note for most of its run. Yeah, it's we talked about it earlier. The intro and outro, like, they're just rhythmically so interesting. So I'm definitely with you on that, Cale. So good call there. And he also says, "I have blind faith that you're telling the truth." These damn Dream Theater puns. So, guys, don't forget that you can chime in on the show live and jump on screen with us, or just call in and do an audio call with us. As we're doing the show, it's call.cmspn.com to join us live. So if you want to jump in with your opinions on camera, just hit us up there and we can bring you right on. So next on my list, I am going to 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and I'm going with The Glass Prison. Did you have that one?
I do have Glass Prison, but it's not next.
God damn it. What are we doing? We got to start
know.
comparing notes before these shows.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been shocked if you didn't have this. That like this kind of has to be on there, I think.
Yeah, this is such a standout song for me. Portnoy does some of the coolest stuff he's ever done on this song, and it's all within the context of a song that is like really metal. So he blends the really heavy style, of his like straight thrash, like metal drummer roots with some really proggy things that just work really cool, And when he follows the guitars with the double bass and stuff like that, it's just this song it's just a banger all the way through, and the drums are just, man, they just drive this song. And Sean Faust has got to run. Love you, dudes. Love you too, brother. Have a good night. Kale, if you don't have Glass Prison, you're wrong. So Kale's a fan of the Glass Prison. This is just, you can tell, like they said, they went to a Pantera show and wrote this song after seeing Pantera. I mean, it's just it's quite obvious that this is very influenced by nothing but like just straight up metal. And it's a great song, man, all the way through. There's so many cool parts. And again, I think the production of the drums on this record add to it as well, because they're so fat and so heavy that, and especially on a song like this, it really works really well. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have coming out of the melody that starts with the intro with the keyboards on both guitar kind of play that melody, and then it gets like, I love when drummers do sort of that stuttering snare thing that comes in once in a while with the main beats, and then you got the double bass going, and ability to change tempos, it still fits. And I love the toms and rhythms before the enter the door, desperate.
Yeah.
And then when that gets going, it has what I don't know, I call them the galloping bass drum parts, where it's like doing, I guess, like triplets and stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like I love that kind of stuff in metal, and that's kind of Pantera 101-ish, I guess, too, in a way. Yep. But when guys start doing that kind of stuff in a heavy song, it just makes it sound ginormous.
Yep, totally agree. I mean, that was kind of what I was going with too. Is like the galloping double bass. I know what part you're talking about, and he does that on so many of their songs, especially later. I think in his time with the band, and it works so well, and it kind of. When they get in lockstep like that, when they have those moments, it just works. It's some of my favorite stuff that they do, and I love the progressive moments and everything. But it's really cool that they can just drop down and just play straight metal. It's really cool when they do that. So, Chastity Crowley is checking out the show. Good to see you. She says, "Gotta throw in Stream of Consciousness." Well, that is one I didn't think we would have, but it is next on my list. No, just kidding. So next on my list, and I'm almost 100% positive you're going to have this one too, The Dance of Eternity. Do you have that one?
Yes, I do.
I swear, I know there's two on here that you're not going to have. I know there is. In fact, three of them.
Do you have Vacant?
I have Wait for Sleep and Beneath the Surface.
Right.
So, yeah, but I have The Dance of Eternity. I mean, it's what can you say? It's The Dance of Eternity. It's got everything you want in 6 minutes. That barroom part is just so badass. And when they break down and do that kind of stuff, it's just so cool. And, Portnoy can go from proggy and metal and everything to the that kind of like I say, the barroom part. And isn't it, what is it, like jazz or something, or what is it? I'm terrible with like the styles, but
yeah, that's kind of like a boogie woogie almost, they call it, jazz boogie type thing, I guess. I don't know if it's interesting online. There's multiple debates on whether or not this song has 108 or 128 actual time signature changes.
Really?
In a 6 minute time span, yeah.
Wow.
So one of the two is correct. I don't know which one.
Chris Aiken says, "I thought every Dream Theater song was The Dance of Eternity." No.
So yeah, I don't know. I remember we talked before. There's that Portnoy video where he breaks down like literally every time, and he's got it written out or something, or he writes it on a whiteboard or something. He goes through each time change.
Doesn't it get to like 1917 at one point or something like that? Is this the song I'm thinking of?
I don't know how many years back it goes, but yeah, it's
How many years? Nice. Oh my God. Yeah, that this song is just God damn. I remember when I first heard this record, this song came along and I was like, holy shit. Like they're not playing around on this one. They kind of stuck to the story, and it's obviously a very progressive record, Scenes from a Memory. But there are some more straight ahead moments to kind of like really make sure the story's standing out. But this one they're like, nope, here's all the glorious prog you can stand. So yeah, this is
yeah. I thought on this album this was like kind of about the only one I felt like I could probably pick since I'm just doing a top 10.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I went back and listened to this record and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff, but yeah, outside of the Dance of Eternity, I don't think this is a record where the drums you really get that whole holy crap, like it's awesome because it's Portnoy and it's Dream Theater, but there's not that what the F until you get to this one. So
I came away with a thought too, and I was thinking of saving it, but maybe I'll just say it now.
Okay.
I think there's 4 distinct albums where the drum sounds and the drums themselves really shine through.
Okay.
Would you like to hear which 4?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So distance over time.
Yes. Dude, I wish that album was not so damn quiet. I want a remaster of that record so that it gets up to the volume of the other albums, because the drum production on there, Mangini's kit sounds phenomenal. But so
View from the Top of the World.
That's another good one. Okay.
Train of Thought.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And of course 6 Degrees. Like, to me, those.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's close in terms of the actual tones and the parts and the progressiveness of what's coming out of just the way those albums are mixed. I don't know. There's just something on the heavier, the actual sound like real drums. They can sound like metal drums, they can sound like rock drums, but they just sound like good sounding live drums.
Yeah. I would completely agree. Obviously, we've talked about 6 Degrees and Distance Over Time. Train of Thought, I forgot about that one. So yeah, that's a good choice. And the new record does have good sounds. You know what actually kind of took me by surprise, because I never really noticed it before, but it really stood out to me when I was going through the catalog to pick my songs for tonight, is that the drum sound on Scenes from a Memory is actually really good too, but it's the most live sounding. It sounds like you're kind of like right up against the kit. Like the snare really has a crack to it, and it doesn't seem like it's got a lot of effects on it. It's much more dry, I think, but it sounds awesome. So I might throw that one in there too. So all right, I will let you go next, since I keep picking stuff off your list, and I know you're not going to have the one that I have next. So what is next on your list?
This is tough. I ended up going with Take the Time.
I almost put that on my list, but I didn't do it.
In going back, man, that snare it's kind of hard to get past at times. Okay. I don't know why. It used to never bother me, but man, I don't know, something about it now. Like, as much as I love the songs, it's just, especially when you put it up against stuff on these other albums.
Well, but have you gone and listened to the version of that on the Greatest Hit record?
No.
Where they replaced the snare with a different one?
It's even worse.
Dude, it doesn't sound right. I mean,
well, you're probably so used to hearing it this other way. Maybe
I think that's it. And the Firehouse sample never bothered me. I think I'm just so ingrained the sound of that record is so ingrained in my head that hearing a different snare on it, I was like, this just doesn't sound right. Like,
yeah, I mean, I love the the marchy intro and stuff. And it goes into that real funky groove, they get into. And I love when Dream Theater does that. I think it's kind of my favorite thing they do a lot of times, is they get into these grooves to start off a verse. And I don't know. I want like at least like 4 songs an album that do that, because I think it's kind of, as much as I love when they get into the metal thing and they get like the cool keyboards behind it, like I think this thing where it's more of a groove like that is kind of my favorite. But yeah, the thing is with that snare, it's like, it's sort of like the reverb on it, and the sound lingers, so it kind of like sometimes will mask what's coming, and it just feels a little bit. I don't know. It was really hard, like putting it up against everything else I listened to on the drums, and then like picking out because I know there's cool parts in there, and I could feel the groove and stuff, but it's just like a little bit, just feels a little off. You know what I mean? That's just in comparison. Even though I know it's a great song, it feels almost a little robotic, I guess, because of that sample. Even though, like you said, I guarantee you, if I'd listened to what you're talking about, I'm sure I would think the same thing, that it's going to sound weird, even weirder.
Yeah, do it back to back sometime. Listen to the album version and then listen to the greatest hit version.
Okay,
it's kind of jarring, and I found myself kind of missing the original. So because I get where you're coming from, saying that the samples, it's a sample, you could tell, but it really is. It kind of like the song lacks something if it doesn't have that production on it for some reason. So, I almost had Take the Time on my list. Again, he's got some really cool stuff on there, like like you said, the beginning of the
yep.
And I was like, Portnoy likes to do the the off time thing,
yep.
like on the on the ride or on different cymbals and stuff. And I love when he does that. So there's a bunch of examples of that in this song. Just a great song. Like I said, this is kind of just it's again a song that just kind of goes, I think, for me, and it takes you to a lot of places, and there's a lot of how do I phrase this? The drums breathe a lot. They really kind of drive parts, and they're very tasteful. So I really dig that on this one. Next on my list. So again, here's one that is going to probably surprise you. I actually have Out of Reach. So, and the reason being, like, I mean, I do love that song, so I'm on record as, being a total fanboy for that one. But I love how Mangini doesn't just play it like a straight ballad. It for a short song and a ballad song, it really has a cool build, and I think the drums are kind of the biggest catalyst of that, at least to me. It starts out with just piano, guitar, and vocal, and then when the drums come in, he's not doing a straight drum beat. He's doing like the kind of the stuff on the toms, which you don't hear a lot, I don't think, in ballad style songs like this. And then you get that one progressive proggy kind of feel going into the part where the whole band kicks in, and it's so, again, we used the word earlier on some other stuff. It's so tasty, and he just plays to the song so well. And this song is just a standout song for me in so many ways. And again, I just think the drums kind of help that. So I really like it. I know it's like a mellow song, and it's not something that stands out as like, oh, listen to all these crazy fills, but I just love how the drums kind of drive the build of the song. So that was the next one on my list.
Yeah, there's nothing stock about any of the drum parts on Distance Over Time. I mean, he puts a ton of thought into them, and they're, like we said, they're very tasteful, but they're well thought out, and there's interesting little intricate things going on that make the songs bigger than probably what they are. Like you said, this probably should be kind of a more simple type ballad, but he takes this on to a whole different place.
Yep. Oh, Herd's chiming in. Good to see you, Herd. Says, damn, missed the Opeth talk. Favorite drum parts are in Change of Seasons. Great show, fellas. Thanks, man. Good to see you, bud. Chastity Crawley, says, the Aliens time signature is 17/8. As a minimally musical person, that hurts my brain. The pure skill Mangini has to keep that song moving with that complexity is awesome. Yep. Yeah, that's, like we said, the song's called The Alien. It's about frickin' Mangini because he is the alien. So, all right, so I have Out of Reach. What is next on your list?
You're going to be happy for this one.
Okay.
I have Lines in the Sand.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I mean, you talk about songs that get into a groove. Holy cow.
Yeah.
The thing that settles into in the middle. And then you got sort of what I was talking about before. They have these songs where they have these really cool orchestra hits, where they go back to the groove again. There's mellow, jazzy, bluesy parts in this. Fusion kind of hints too as well. Man, I just love the way the drums flow on this whole song.
Yeah, you will not hear an argument from me. We talked about it when we did the deep dive into this record, and the drums are so important on Falling Into Infinity because it's, like we said, the songs are much more straight ahead. They're kind of have a jam feel to them, but Portnoy's drumming really keeps it kind of anchored in that prog realm. And Lines in the Sand is a perfect example. Like he's just going for it, and it has such a cool groove to the whole thing, and it's a good call, man. Good call. Don't forget, guys, if you'd like to chime in live, you can jump in on video or just turn your camera off and it'll just be your audio. But go to call.cmspn.com and we'll bring you on and you can give us your thoughts and kind of co-host the show with us a little bit. So Brandon Charles is checking in and he says, "Hey, all, just dropped in. Anyone mention Endless Sacrifice?" No, Brandon, that one has not been mentioned yet. We did talk about the fact that Train of Thought has some of our favorite drum production, though, so we did mention that. Do you have Endless Sacrifice on your list?
No, that one did not make it.
Okay.
So
Right.
No qualms with that one. Also, hey Bob, you got a shout out earlier, so go back and re-listen once it's published.
Yeah. Mentioned by name, so.
That's right.
So for my next one, I'm actually going to stay with the Distance Over Time record. I have S2N. And I think it's a very underrated song because it's kind of wonky. And as I've said many times on the show, I like when they get a little bit weird. And there's so many, it's kind of, there's my cat acting like an asshole again. It's kind of frantic in the drumming. I believe that it's like the ghost notes on the snare. He's doing it a ton throughout the song, and it kind of adds this kind of nervous energy to it. And we talked about his incredible right hand, and he's doing that kind of stuff in this song a lot. And the other part that I really like in this one is that kind of busy tribal stuff in the verses and under the first part of the solo. Like it's awesome. And then in the second part of the guitar solo, that's got some really killer stuff in there. So this is a very underrated song, period. But I think drum-wise, I haven't heard people really talk about it a lot. And going through, this stuff I kind of tried to look for songs I wouldn't normally think of, and I found a couple by doing that, and S2N was one of them. So I just love what Mangini's doing on this song.
I kind of had a toss-up between that and Pale Blue Dot, and I ended up going Pale Blue Dot. We've talked before, Distance Over Time. You know how, you're a huge Browns fan, so I'm trying to think of who the player would be. It has to be somebody that you knew was good, but you didn't really realize, it doesn't matter what sport, your favorite team. You realize 2 years later or 10 years later, wow, this guy, we knew it was good, but it was actually way better than we thought. It's just kind of, the more I hear almost everything off a Distance Over Time, I'm like, are there arguments to say it's going to sound like blasphemy that this could be their best? I mean, I don't know. I know it sounds insane, and I'm not saying that, but I think there's arguments to be made. It just, like you said, you go back and you hear S2, well, it's an underrated song. There's so many different little cool things going on, not just with the drums, but the vocals and the arrangements. And there's nothing stock in a lot of the songs on there. And we joke that nothing they ever do is stock, but they do fall into kind of some patterns. Mm-hmm. And I think they break a lot of those on the arrangements with the things that they do vocally and instrumentally on Distance Over Time.
Yep. No, I agree. When we get to ranking the albums later on in the year, I'm really thinking that Distance Over Time may end up being a top 3 record for me, because I liked it from the get-go, and I go back to this one a lot, and I think it's specifically because of what you said. There's a lot of varied material on it, and they kind of break some patterns and stuff, and the singles that they put out, Untethered Angel and Fall Into the Light, they were pretty much like metal songs, kind of straightforward and kind of similar in a way. But then you get stuff like Paralyzed on there and Barstool Warrior, and like we were just talking about, S2N, and there's Room Room 237, and there's such great stuff. I mean, I know you love At Wit's End, like the end part and everything, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge honk for Out of Reach, and I like Viper. The whole record is just solid, and it really doesn't get as much love as I really thought that it deserves. So, but this is not a Distance Over Time show. It is a drum show, and as such, I'd like to know what's next on your list of favorite drum parts.
Let's see. So we can skip my next one. I got Dance of Eternity, which we already talked about.
Man, you got to jump around. Look at that. This is why you don't have to rank them. Unless I say, hey, man, we're going to rank stuff, don't bother ranking it from now on, because you've done this like 8 times now. It always screws you. You're doing too much work, man.
Well, I mean, I still could have already done it anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
From that standpoint, but.
So what do you have next?
All right. After that, are you sitting down for this one?
Oh, boy.
I have Honor Thy Father.
Nice. Another one I considered. Just that drum part in
The beginning, man. I mean, this is his like ode to like hitting his stepfather or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so he just goes completely ballistic on this. I mean, blast beats, goes into that huge metal groove. Time signatures changing back and forth in that groove. It's a Portnoy metal clinic, and he's getting out all of his aggression at the same time.
Yep.
And,
yeah, this is the angry drums. Like we were talking, like you could tell how pissed off he is on this one.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Well, especially if I was doing a list with just Portnoy, like this would absolutely, I think, have to be on there. But I thought it should be on here too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this pick. It was close to making my list as well, and I think that for me it is because of the aggression and the anger that you can hear in the parts, and you don't usually get songs where the drum parts match the lyrical content like this, and so I think that's a really cool aspect of this song. He does, obviously it's a very metal song. The whole record is just straight metal, but he does some really interesting stuff on this one, and it kind of drives it. That don't cross the crooked step. Goes into that part. It's really heavy and just. Like I say, I mean, I don't think I can phrase it any better. The drums, they fit the lyrical content and the vibe of the song perfectly. And a lot of, in most times the drums are just kind of there. They're keeping the beat and everything, you think about it. But in this one, it's like he's got some extra balls behind it. And I really love that aspect of this particular song.
Well, he's super emotionally invested because this is his lyrical,
Yeah.
This is his moment of catharsis,
Yep. I've always thought that was a cool lyric too. Don't cross the crooked step. Like that's kind of cool. So, and anyway, we're not getting into the lyrics, but yeah, this is to me a very underrated song. At some point we should come up with a list of underrated songs, like because we say that about a lot of tunes. Like, what do we think should get more love?
Right.
Brandon Charles says, "I hear new things every time." Yeah, there's always something to listen to, and Brandon, to your point. That's one thing that I noticed when I was going back and listening specifically to drum parts, not just on this particular song, but in general. There's a lot of stuff that I've missed over the years when you really try and dig into, what exactly Portnoy or Mangini is doing. There's a lot of stuff that you miss just based on like the way the drums are produced. Like, especially I think with Portnoy, there's a lot of little cymbal play that you don't get unless you're kind of watching him do it live or it's an isolated track or something like that, because I heard so many different things that I had never noticed before, and that was really fun for me to kind of discover that stuff when going through these songs.
The other thing too, and this is true of any album if you want to play along at home, but if you totally focus in, and we've talked before about how the mixes are, sometimes you don't hear the bass that good. But when you totally focus in on the drums like that, you can really hear what Ma Young's doing on the bass.
Yes.
And hear his tone come through, especially on the albums where the production is a little more, I guess, bass tone friendly, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But you start to hear all this stuff where you're like, geez, I mean, he was literally 7 feet in front of us for an entire concert, so we could kind of see him and hear him. But this is just a whole new way of sort of appreciating it. Like just focus in on the drums and you'll see exactly what My Young's doing too.
Yep, very cool. Okay, so the next one on my list, I've only got a couple left. I have Panic Attack from Octavarium, and this one I think is a favorite of mine because I was just mentioning that all that cymbal play that Portnoy does on all that little stuff that I just really get into. It's it's almost like he's got songs where he just can't stop moving, so he's got to be hitting something, and I really dig that. And there's a lot of that in this song. The second verse has all kinds of rhythmic stuff happening, which just I like how it's different from the first verse. I always like when they change it up and keep it give us some ear candy. It doesn't sound the same. This is one of those songs we mentioned before where Portnoy just goes. It's one of those ones where you kind of just like a wind up car. You just wind up and drop it. It just shoots across the floor and doesn't stop till it runs out of energy. And I think this is one of those tunes. And the ending is just absolutely ridiculous. All over the place. So it's a total clinic on Portnoy just going, hey, look, I can play drums real good. So this is always a favorite of mine, just because if you're into drumming, this is a blast to listen to. So and it's also, I think, the heaviest song on Octavarium, which is not a very heavy record. So bonus points to Panic Attack for having that distinction. So do you have Panic Attack on your list?
Next song on my list is a song called Panic Attack.
Good God. How did we pick the same stuff, man?
So I love all the fills right before the I am paralyzed.
Yeah.
And then the in and around the down, the piano key string breakdown thing, like the fills in and around that are so cool. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those songs that, it's a good gateway song for Dream Theater for like metalheads if you want to get them into Dream Theater, like here, throw on Panic Attack,
Yeah, you're a drummer. Well, check this out.
Yeah, exactly. You're a drummer, or you're into metal, or you're into heavy, fast, cool stuff like this, with the cool riffs and cool drumming. Like, let's go right into this one. And it's not like an insanely long song or anything either.
Yep. And like I said, it stands out on Octavarium. I think it's a cool moment on that record because, as I mentioned, Octavarium's not a very heavy album for them. So to have something like this is pretty cool because you get that blast of, that progressive metal that you want in the middle of, what might be to me their most mellow record, because there's a lot of more laid back stuff on there. And this one's like, nope, this is still a progressive metal band. This is their record. So it's like I said, it just goes, and I'm glad you brought up that verse. That's the one I was thinking of, like, or no, I was thinking of like rapid heartbeat fills my chest, so that's just so powerful. So all right, so I have one more, and then I have what I saved as my favorite. So my next one is a live song, but it's part of a live song. And maybe this is cheating, but I have the jam session in the middle of scene 4 from Scenes from Memory. I have the jam part from Live at Budokan, where Petrucci does his solo, and then Portnoy and Rudis do the call and answer thing with each other, and that is just holy shit, man! Like that, to me, they've never done a better live jam, at least not that I've heard on record. I've seen some really damn good ones at shows that I've been to, but this one, it's cool how Portnoy kind of drives the energy of what Petrucci's doing, and when he starts to pick it up, and it's like, it almost sounds to me like Portnoy is kind of leading where John Petrucci's solo goes, instead of vice versa. It's, it doesn't sound like John's doing something and then Mike's following. It kind of sounds like Portnoy is like kind of doing the thing and then, letting Petrucci follow him. He's leading him, which is, I love that. So that part's cool. And then the call and answer thing is just awesome. Like, and I like how the first couple times they do it, crowd's into, but then you can hear the crowd really kind of realize what's happening. And they're like, oh yeah, they're like, battling each other. It's and the whole thing just plays out so well. And again, it's my favorite jam that they've ever put down on a live record. So I really love this one. Live at Budokan, in the middle of scene 4. How familiar are you with that? Because I know you don't do the live album thing nearly as much as I do.
Whatever less than 0 is, I'm somewhere around there. So.
You're not familiar with this?
I'll take your word for it, though.
Oh, my God. All right, tomorrow you have homework. You have to listen to this song from Live at Budokan.
Oh, great. I've got homework.
Dude, any Dream Theater fan worth his salt knows that song, man. It's like, this is huge. That is a big Dream Theater moment, man. So,
nice.
yeah, you got to check that out.
I'll have to check it out.
All right. So what is next on your list?
I have one left. That's it, because I had Glass Prison, so we'll skip that.
Okay. All right, so we each have one left.
So I'm going to say, it's because I ranked these back to back, I believe these are the 2 ultimate Dream Theater drum masterpieces, and they come from the same album, and it's been mentioned multiple times. I have The Great Debate.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
So all you people in the chat that were mentioning The Great Debate, here you go.
There is no great debate when it comes to The Great Debate. Like, it is just...
Yes.
And this is a song that before we started the show, I was like, I just didn't even give it really a second and third glance much. And that's how impactful my thoughts are on 6 Degrees in general, have sort of changed or been reformed. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. Like what like I didn't want to put Metropolis on here because I don't know what to say about it, but I put this on here and I don't even know what to say about it.
Well, I mean, it was said previously, but the intro and outro with all that just really cool kind of shuffle rhythm thing, it's like I'm kind of almost speechless about this song too. It's so damn good. But anytime I think about drumming in Dream Theater, this song comes to mind, and there's just the whole thing is just one goddamn cool drum fill after another. And I've been on record many times as saying that I love the Mike Portnoy double time hi-hat, and there's a lot of that going on in The Great Debate. And the thing that really stands out to me is that the drum parts are so busy on this, but they have an awesome groove at the same time. It's almost like if someone's playing like a straight beat, but there's all all this goofy shit going on around it. But that the main groove is so omnipresent, and I think that's what I love the most about this song is that it's like you can move to it, bang your head to it and everything, but technically it's an absolute masterpiece. And it's on one of his I think I actually have it now that I think about it, but I'm pretty sure I do have the one. But one of his instructional drum DVDs, he breaks down stuff in the Glass Prison and also on The Great Debate, and some of the things that he's doing are just so unique, and yet when you see him break them down, they're so simple. That's the thing that always strikes me about a lot of the things that Portnoy does. If you see him actually break these parts down, it's like, okay, well, that's really not that difficult. It's just the speed at which he does it and the fluidity. And, this song is the absolute clinic for that. So, yeah, this is I'm glad you had it number one. I mean, even though we shared a lot of the same stuff on our lists, this is, I'm in complete agreement with you. This is like the pinnacle of Dream Theater drumming for me.
So going back to our poem, what you're saying is the drums, the heart of the band, a rhythmic force that takes command.
That's exactly right.
No, I like. I think I told you before. I'm always been kind of big into like industrial music and stuff, and I love like cool electronic drums and like a bunch of like old movie samples or samples of whatever. And that's what I love about this song is like all those cool speeches about stem cell, all those like sound clips and all that just killer drumming going on behind it and all the different time changes and the different grooves. And I don't know, that kind of stuff just always like gets me, kind of gives me chills. Like there's something really cool about it. It's a very cinematic way of playing because you're sort of trying to relay what's being what the message is coming across in all those spoken word samples and things that are coming on from those news clips or whatever, and you're trying to emote that through the drums, and I think it does a great job of it.
Yep, totally agree. Back when this record came out in 2002, I was doing some interviews and album reviews for Chris Aiken's magazine. At the time, it was called Music's Bottom Line, and I reviewed 6 Degrees, and I pointed out, even back then, like right when it came out, this song just stood out to me. I was like, holy crap. Like if you're into Dream Theater, you're gonna love this song, and yet like you said, like this was never one that you like really kind of gravitated towards until we did our deep dive into 6 Degrees, and now you're like you got a new appreciation for the record, but this one in particular. And I've had that with a lot of people, like a lot of Dream Theater fans are like, great debate, but then as we talk over the years and they listen back to it, this song is like. It always comes up as one like, man, I didn't really dig it at first, but now I love it. Like, it's so I'm a total flag bearer for this song. So, it's just like I say, it's a goddamn clinic. So, Chastity Crawley says, I actually used Great Debate on my science class for a presentation. Teacher wasn't thrilled. She said it wasn't school appropriate. She doesn't want to talk about stem cells, huh? Stem cell research. Humankind has reached a turning point. That's funny. All right, so I have an honorable mention, and I listed it as an honorable mention so that you wouldn't crucify me for using it as an actual choice. But I have the entire Falling Into Infinity record, and it's just piggybacking on. I can see you laughing. Thank God you're on mute. Piggybacking on what I said during the deep dive. Portnoy's drums just drive this album. It keeps it from being, obviously way too commercial, because they were trying to write more commercial stuff, more easily digestible stuff. But Portnoy is like kind of stubbornly staying in progressive mode, and it, he absolutely drives that whole record, and there's examples all over it. So, I already went into detail on that on our deep dive, so I won't, do it again. But yeah, as an honorable mention, I had to bring up the drumming on Falling Into Infinity again, because that's just phenomenal. So that was fun, dude. It was cool going through the catalog and listening for things that we don't normally listen for. So I had a blast with that. I like we did all these. I wish it was easier to do favorite bass moments.
Yeah, that might be tough. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think we should set it as a goal to do that.
Yeah,
and but do it in several months. Like, when we listen to a song, go, "Ooh, that bass line's really cool." Then write it down, and when we each hit 10, then we can do the episode.
We need like a really good bass player to join us on the show to like chime in on that or something.
We'll get
what about the bass player for your cover band? Is he into Dream Theater or no?
No, not really.
Okay,
no.
Oh, there goes that. I was going to say you, but I've heard you play bass, so.
Yeah, that's definitely not me. I like when it gets real heavy and fast.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't know anything about your bass playing.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's competent. The one, like I said, when I brought up the APG record a couple shows ago.
Yeah, you were good on that.
Yeah, it just sucks because the damn bass was broken and I didn't know it. So you can't hear the damn thing, and I'm doing all sorts of chords and.
Oh, that's why it sounds so good. Then never mind.
It's down in the mix and shitty.
I love everything he's doing. I can't hear it, but
that's why I love it. Yeah. So, well, yeah, man, that was a good time. So, funny that we kind of had the same list, but the parts just stand out. So it's like, how can you not pick stuff like the Alien and Glass Prison, and especially the Great Debate and all that. So, I really was surprised that you had The Enemy Inside. That was kind of interesting to me. So.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get you on Honor Thy Father.
I almost put that one and Take the Time were almost for me. So, but so that's why I definitely don't disagree with you on those. But all right, so in 2 weeks it's going to be Thursday, March 23rd. Are you going to be on the show?
I will for sure not be on that one.
Okay.
So
well, then that means we're gonna talk some Pantera.
Nice.
So we're gonna dig into some Pantera if I can get our special guest on. We're trying to get Wayne Joyner on the show again. He's been on a couple times for those of you guys that have been watching for a while. And if you don't know who he is, if you've been to the last 2 Dream Theater tours or seen any of the music videos for the last 2 records, Wayne did all of that. So he does their music videos. He does all the stage design and stuff for them. So he's always great to talk to because he works directly with the guys. And he said when he came, I asked him if he wanted to come back on at some point. Is there a record you want to do? And he said, yeah, man, I'd love to talk about Cowboys from Hell. So I said, okay, we'll talk some Pantera. I could talk Pantera all day long. So we're trying to get Wayne Joyner on the next episode to dig into some Cowboys from Hell. And you are going to be back home in St. Louis doing some family stuff. So safe travels for that. And to all you guys in the chat, thanks for checking out another episode. Going forward, do not forget that if you want to chime in live and be a part of the live broadcast with us on camera, you can go to call.cmspn.com. And if you want to come on with video, that's fine. If you just want your audio on, just make sure you turn your camera off, and it'll just be like we're kind of answering a phone call. So feel free to call in and take part in the show. We love when you guys throw in your 2 cents. So until next time, thank you very much to all you guys in the chat. Memphis Bullard, obviously Chastity, Sean Faust, Daniel Navarez-Arojo, our good friend, Kale McLeish. Obviously, we also had a few others in here. So thank you guys very much for checking out another episode of Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. We'll be back here on Thursday, March 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you are watching on YouTube, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, and click the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time we go live. And again, if you want to take part in the show, next time, just hit up call.cmspn.com. So, Brian, this was a fun one, and I won't see you in 2 weeks, but I will see you 2 weeks after that, at which point we will have already been to the Queensryche Marty Friedman show in Pittsburgh. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
And until that time, man, safe travels. And guys, carpe diem.